What is going on, good people of YouTube? It is me, Chavez, back with another Prize Picks video for you. Today is Tuesday, April 11th, 2023, and we got NBA player props over on Prize Picks to talk about. As always, I hope this video finds you all doing well and in good spirits. Man, we are going to kick things off with a recap over Sunday's plays. We'll definitely update ourselves on some injury news. And then we'll take a quick look at the play-in, playoff bracket just to make sure we're all up to date. And then finally, we'll dive into some player props that I like that are already on the Prize Picks board. So if you can dig that, stick around. I know I ask a lot of you all every single day. Drop a like, sub, and all these things. I tell you what, if you can just do one of these things, that'd be amazing. Drop a like or drop a sub or click that notification icon. Get notified of all upcoming videos from me and my channel. Yeah, that sounds good. So without further delay, let us jump into those plays from Sunday. Looking at our 4 plays on Sunday, man, it was a circus out there. What a crazy day to play NBA player props. So let's quickly go over everything that we talked about. Number 1, the McDaniel boys, they did not show up. Jalen McDaniels did not attempt 1-3 in that game. Number 2, Jaden McDaniels broke his hand by punching a wall and didn't come back. Those two did not get us going off on the right foot. And then we had Svi Mykhailiuk crush a lot of props, crush his fantasy, crush his PRA, but he failed to hit 16.5 or over 16.5 points. He hooked us with 16. The one play that did work for us was Shake Milton over 15.5 points. Definitely looking to bounce back. Crazy day in the NBA, circus type of day in the NBA. All that wonkiness is out of the way, behind us, and now we move into more meaningful basketball. So if you are ready to move on from Sunday's performance, I am too. Let's go ahead and take a look at the injury report for today, and then we'll jump into our plays on the Prize Picks board. All right, injury news for Tuesday. Very short list. Looks much different than the injury reports that we were getting towards the end of the NBA regular season. So LeBron James, Anthony Davis, D'Angelo Russell are probable. I fully 100% expect these guys to play in today's game. Questionable, we have Karl Anthony Towns, Kyle Lowry, and Jalen Noel. And then out, speaking of Minnesota, we have Rudy Gobert, Jaden McDaniels, Luka Garza, and Naz Reid. So Rudy Gobert punching Kyle Anderson, and then Jaden McDaniels breaking his hand by punching a wall. Those two guys really helped themselves out a lot with those actions. All right, let's now move past all this injury report talk and talk about some player props that I like that are already on the board today. All right, before we jump into those player props, let's quickly look at the playoff bracket here, play-in and playoff bracket here. So still fairly new in the NBA, only the second season the NBA has gone with this format. And if you're new to it, then here's what it looks like. Headed over to the Prize Picks board, let's quickly scroll through this board and let you see how it's filling out. Only 2 games tonight, so the Bulls and Raptors, Pelicans and Thunder, that's tomorrow night. So only 2 games tonight. We're only talking about the Miami Atlanta game and then the LA and Minnesota game. So out of those 2 games, I got 4 player props today. Let's jump right on into it. First player prop is going to come out of the Atlanta-Miami game. And we're going to talk about a points and assist prop for DeAndre Hunter, 15.5 points and assists. I like the over on this one. Let's head on over to props.cash and find out why. This line currently sits at -125 to go over. Taking a look at DeAndre Hunter's last 10 games of the NBA season, we can see that he hit this prop 4 out of 10 games. That Boston game, obviously, he would have gone over this had he played his full run. Game against Philly, again, a couple of games that just weren't really necessary for him to push himself or to play a ton of minutes. We can see in those last 2 games, minutes on a drastic decline. Now, a couple of interesting facts here when it comes to Hunter, this prop, and playing the Miami Heat. Taking a look at his regular season statistics versus the Heat in 4 games versus the Miami Heat, DeAndre Hunter has gone over this prop 4 times. So 100% hit rate when it comes to this prop. We can see that he's actually averaging 19 points and assists versus the Miami Heat. That's a very strong stat. I know that it's a small sample size. However, it's a pretty good looking sample size, to be honest with you. I mean, now I wanted to also go back to last year's playoffs because that is an actual split that we can check out over on props.cash. And we can see that DeAndre Hunter versus the Miami Heat last season played in 5 games versus the Heat. And in all but one of those games, he went over this points and assist prop. He went off in that series, and he was just a different player in that series. I hope we get that same performance from him today. We're not going to get a 5-game sample size out of him versus the Heat this season. He gets one shot at him, and that's it. So hopefully he can make it 5 games in a row this season where he's gone over this prop. I like this for DeAndre Hunter today. Give me the over 15.5 points and assists. For our second and third prop, we're staying in the Miami-Atlanta game, and we're going to go over and check out a rebounds and assist prop right there and talk a little bit about Jimmy Butler, whose prop got bumped up from 12.5 to now 13, but I still like the over on this one. 13 rebounds and assists for Jimmy Butler. Let's head on over to props.cash and dig into this a little bit more. Over on props.cash, we can see that the line is currently set for 13.5. It's 13 on Prizepicks. So in the last 10 games of the season, Butler pushed or hit this line in 5 out of 10 games, giving him roughly 50% hit rate here. A few things I like about this prop. Number one, the playoffs are a very different story for Jimmy Butler. We all know that, and he's been public with it. Kind of doesn't turn it on or start paying attention to games until around game 60. We can expect full focus and an all-out effort for Jimmy Butler in this play-in game. That's what I take from that statement. Looking at what he has done versus the Atlanta Hawks this season, 2 out of 3 games he's hit this prop with 18 in each of those final 2 games versus the Hawks. So he's exceeded this line. Even if this line were to get bumped to 13.5, he would have gotten it with these 2 performances here. Now, going back to last year's playoffs, Jimmy Butler played in a lot of playoff games last season. So I want to just focus on the series between the Heat and the Atlanta Hawks. And so that's going to be these 4 games right here. So in those 4 games versus the Atlanta Hawks, he started off very slowly but ended that series super strong. Giving us 18 and 14 rebounds and assists in both of those games. So I just think we see a very determined, very focused Jimmy Butler in this game. Makes me like the over on this one. And it's just 1 game tonight, so we won't get a series between these 2 teams. I think he comes out and puts his stamp on this game. And I think we see a nice performance from him. Give me the over. 13 rebounds and assists for Jimmy Butler. And for our third prop, we're sticking with Jimmy Butler, but we're going to head on over to the first half props and take a look at Jimmy Butler's points in the first half. Currently set to 13.5. I like the over on this one too. Let's find out why. So you can say that this prop is a little riskier, being that Jimmy Butler doesn't have the strongest history with first half props this season. We can see that in his last 10 games, only exceeded this line of 13.5 points 3 times out of the last 10 games. And then overall on the season, Jimmy Butler had a 25% hit rate when it came to hitting his first half prop of 13.5 points. So those 2 numbers alone don't really look all that great. But again, playoffs, very different for stats, very different for certain players. Last season in the playoffs, Jimmy Butler fared a little better in terms of hitting this prop. So out of 17 playoff games last season, Jimmy Butler crossed that line 7 out of the 17 games, giving you a 41% hit rate. And against the Atlanta Hawks, I think we see a similar performance to what you saw in these games. Obviously, we're looking for a performance closer to that 21-19 first half versus the 11-9 first half. I think we see that type of performance from Jimmy Butler, but I can definitely understand if you have some reservations on not going with the first half prop for Jimmy Butler. So, not saying you have to play this, but this is one that stood out to me, and just looking at the circumstances and this being a must-win game for the Heat, I definitely think we see a more aggressive, a more determined Jimmy Butler. So I'm rolling with a couple of his props in today's games. 13.5 first half points. Give me the over on this one. All right, for our fourth and fifth prop, 5 props today. For our fourth and fifth prop, we're rolling with LeBron James, and I want to talk about his points first. And 28.5 is the line over on Prizepicks. I definitely like the over on this one for LeBron James. Let's head on over to props.cash and talk about it. Taking a look at his line, 28.5, minus 125 to go over this to end the regular season. He hit this prop in 30% of the last 10 games, so only 3 out of 10 games. Not the best stats for LeBron James, I understand that. But let's talk about playoff LeBron James, because that's a real thing. That's a different player. This is a must-win game for the Lakers, back in the playoffs after missing the playoffs last season. And I think we see a similar performance from LeBron James that we saw versus the Utah Jazz. 36 points is a lot of points. I'm not saying he scores 36 points, but in order for him to hit this prop, he needs to shoot like he shot in that game. He needs to be on the court for 30 plus minutes, taking 20 plus field goal attempts, making the majority of those. He took 14 threes versus Minnesota. I don't know if Utah. I don't know if we see him take 14 threes today, but I'll take 8 3-pointers made from LeBron James today in a heartbeat. Free throws were a little down right here, but I think we see that change as well. I think we see him drive a little bit more today because the Minnesota Timberwolves are down Rudy Gobert and Jalen McDaniels, who's arguably their best defender. So less resistance on the court, less big men in the paint for LeBron James. He's going to drive. He's going to try to draw contact. I think we see him do that today versus this Wolves team. All that looks good for LeBron James. I can't pull up any playoff information because there was no playoffs last season for the Lakers. So not a lot to go on there. Versus Minnesota this season, super small sample size, only played them twice, 28 and 18 in those 2 games. I think for the play-in situation, it's nice to look at those numbers versus a team and see a positive history, and it does make you feel good when you're picking a player prop. But just because you don't see favorable statistics versus a team in the regular season doesn't mean that it's a bad prop. It doesn't mean that that player is not going to do well. Playoffs and play-in playoffs and regular season are 2 different things. I just think we see a more aggressive LeBron James, just like what I said for Jimmy Butler. It applies for LeBron James. These are the types of athletes, players who go out there and try to take a game over because they believe they are the best player on the court in the world. So I look for a very strong performance out of LeBron James today. He does not want to go home early. He wants to advance in the playoffs. I think we see him give us 29 plus points today. And if we like his points, I wanted to also talk about his free throw attempts or free throws made, currently set at 4.5. Man, I know this doesn't look all that great. 5-game log makes you want to take the under. But again, for all the reasons that I just mentioned, no Gobert, no McDaniels, who is going to keep him out of the paint or successfully keep him from scoring in the paint? I don't know. I don't think the Wolves have that person on their team. So I expect a lot of slaps, a lot of fouls, a lot of dumb mistakes by the Wolves. I think we see LeBron James cross that 5 free throws made prop for sure, on his way to scoring 29 plus points in today's game versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. And ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for today's NBA player prop video for Prizepicks. We covered 5 different player props now, 4 player props between 2 players, but I really like the over on all these. Let's quickly recap. Hunter over points and assists, Butler over rebounds and assists, Butler over first half points, and LeBron James over his 28.5 points and over 4.5 free throws made. Drop me a comment below letting me know who you have your eyes on this Prizepicks board. Also, let me know what you think about these player props that we talked about in today's video. And as always, thank you all so much for all the support, the likes, the subs, and all the comments. It truly helps this channel get a bit bigger every single day. Like I mentioned in a previous video, this is all about inches. This is a game of inches, not feet, not yards, and every little bit helps this channel, helps support the channel, and I really appreciate it. So best of luck to you all today, tonight. Be on the lookout for prize pick tacos, as it is Taco Tuesday as well. Hopefully we get some good ones added to the Prizepicks board for the NBA. And until tomorrow's Prizepicks NBA player prop video, best of luck to you all. And Chavez is